the people of sake actually brought me into sake.
Back in 1988, this place was actually in Ginza on the main drag.
At first it was kind of soy sauce, it was miso.
To the point where it actually changed my life.
New Year's Day 1989.
Not just sake as a beverage, but all the culture and history.
Welcome back to Sake on Air. This is Miho, and I'm here with my good friend Elvira Aldaz. Can you introduce yourself a little bit, Elvira?
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me here in Sake on Air again. I'm Elvira. I'm from Spain, from Madrid, and I'm a sake educator and kind of influencer in Spain because I'm trying to make people fall in love with sake in my country. It's a hard job, but I love it. So I came here this year to Japan to study at the Gakogura. I think you're going to explain a little bit about that now. And I'm also the co-founder of Sochudo, a platform to educate people in Europe about sochu and awamori. And I'm trying to import some sochu to Spain too. So let's see what happens.
Great. So Gakogura is on Saddle Island. It's run by Owatashizo during the summertime when they don't make their own sake. So they take students or participants from all over the place for 1 week to 3 week program, actually hands-on experience on sake making. So you did 1 week course.
Yeah, I did a 1 week course, and it's enough because it's exhausting. It's a lot of labor.
Right. Do you recommend it to other people who are interested in sake?
Absolutely, absolutely. You'll learn a lot. If you have a good team of curabitos with you, it's going to be a blast. So fun, exhausting. You sweat a lot, you learn a lot. And for me, it was a great experience because I get to feel like the flavors, the smells, the heat, the temperature of each part of the process in my bones, in my skin. So now I think I'm better at explaining to people the process of making sake because I've been there.
Yes. And this time when we were going through different breweries in Fukushima, you also mentioned that you understood these different equipment facilities better because you had this experience.
Exactly. Now I can see a shubo a shubo tank and immediately know what it is and the different kinds of cooling the rice. Yeah. Now it's a great experience. Yeah. And you can tell which equipment it's different, it's better. So yeah, I love it. I love the experience. I recommend it a lot. Yeah.
Great.
To everyone. Yeah.
So you were a team of 4 people from all over the world making a small tank full of sake together.
Yes. You go through all the parts of the process in a week.
Mm-hmm.
You make the koji from start. You babysit the koji for a night also.
Mm-hmm.
And we did everything, all the sandanji komi and the cooling of the rice, all the rice we need for the sake and everything. Yeah. We did every part of the process, and my team were making the Jumai Daiginjo sparkling sake Manotsuru from
Wow.
Obatazuzo. So yes,
Did
we
it
lived our baby there.
Did they choose what type, or can you choose?
No. Every week, every team prepares a different sake.
I see. Very cool. So when
It was random. Yeah.
And you get a couple of bottles.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, they're gonna send us some bottles as a gift.
Nice. Very special bottles.
Yes.
So Elvira had 3 or 4 days after the Gakogura workshop. So she wanted to go somewhere, like focus on one area and do a brewery tour. And she wanted to do it with me because we're friends. And I was quite busy, so I didn't really want to go anywhere too far from Tokyo. So we decided upon Fukushima because it's relatively close to Tokyo and there are a lot of breweries. So I checked. According to the Fukushima prefectural site, there are over 50 sake breweries, which is the 4th largest number of breweries in Japan. Another important reason why we decided upon, well, I decided upon Fukushima essentially, was that a lot of the breweries are quite close to the station, train station, so quite accessible without cars. And if I'm going on a brewery tour, I don't want to drive. So I said, let's go to Fukushima. And in the end, we only had 2.5 days because traveling from Niigata to Fukushima was about like 4 or 5 hours, was it?
5 hours, yeah, and three
Yeah.
trains.
Right, exactly. So we lost the first half day in traveling, but we ended up going to maybe about 10 breweries over 2.5 days.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so Fukushima is quite interesting because there are three main areas divided by mountain ranges. So the one that's closest to the coast is called Hamadori, and the slightly inland is Nakadori, and the one that's the most inland is Aizu. And I would say most sake breweries are in Aizu area, the most inland area. So naturally, we went to most Aizu breweries this time. The only one outside of Aizu we went to was Nida Honke in Nakadori, in the middle area of Fukushima. So day one, we met in Koriyama Station in Nakadori in the middle section of Fukushima to go to Nida Honke because this was on Thursday, and Nida Honke during off seasons they have regular tours on Thursdays at 2 p.m. You need an online reservation, but it's run quite regularly and quite informative, and they have an English guide if you don't speak Japanese. So, do you want to talk a little bit about Nida Honke?
Yeah, I love Nidahonke. I was so impressed. We have Nidahonke sakes in Spain,
Mhm.
but I didn't know they have this. They were so old. It's a very old brewery, but they have this modern approach to sake that I think is very refreshing, very interesting. Uh, I think I love the idea that they are replacing the tanks for these kyoke, wooden kyoke tanks. And they are so interested in doing like bringing back the traditional techniques. And I love the Kimoto room they have with this cedar smell, amazing cedar smell, and the persimmon coating. So I was really, really impressed about their ideas, and they focus to like reclaim these traditional things, but with a very, very modern approach. And I love their kiyoshu. I was so impressed by the kiyoshu because they make like a solera system, because they take the kiyoshu from the previous year and they use it in the next years. So they are like building like a legacy kiyoshu kind of a way. And this year's kiyoshu, the 14th, it was so, so good. I had to buy a bottle because I was so impressed.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Nida Honke is the third oldest sake brewery in Fukushima, founded in 1711, which is over 300 years ago. But they do have a kind of a new, yet very traditional approach. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Use natural rice and organic rice, and natural rice being even more natural, like not even fertilizer, like organic fertilizers. So it's very, very natural. And their approach in brewing is also very natural. They use a wild yeast. Now they're replacing, as Elvira mentioned, tanks to wooden tanks. So they have a property outside of the brewery where they have a lot of cedar trees. So they plant cedar trees strategically so they have enough wood to make one big fermentation tank per year.
Yeah.
So they have about like 20, so they're replacing one per year. Well, I think there will be another like 13, 14 years to replace everything, but it was
Yeah, no, I
really
think they
cool.
have five. Now they have five.
They have five. They
Yeah.
actually have six, but the first one didn't really work or something, and then so they're using five. So this time, Yoshida-san and Zach from the brewery took us around, and they are very informative and happy to show and share what their brewing is all about. And they were super knowledgeable and had answers
Yes.
for everything.
They are great guides, yeah, because you can feel they love their work and they know everything and they enjoy it and they have experimented a lot with different things. So you can ask any questions you have with to them.
Right. Yeah, so if you have time to go for this tour, it's the best way to get to know Nidahonke. But they have a shop in the brewery. So if you go on a day when they're not providing the tour, you can still go to the shop and taste a few of them. It's a 20-minute taxi ride from Koriyama Station. So Koriyama Station is about an hour and a half by train from Tokyo, so it's not very far, and the taxi ride from the station is about 20 minutes, but it goes up to like 5,000 yen per way. So if you go alone, it could be like a little bit expensive, but I think for the tour, it's definitely worth it. It is 3,300 yen per person, but definitely worth the time and travel to go.
Absolutely.
For.
Especially if you come from Spain.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's a long trip and yeah, it's very informative. I think it's so interesting. I recommend going to Nidahonke. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think Spanish people will like their sake?
I think so. I think so. I think people in Spain, when we did the Iber Campai, a lot of people went to the booth of their importer in Spain, and they loved it. They told me it's more up to the Spanish palate because it has a little bit of acidity. It's more bold, more rich. So yeah, I think people who love like very clean sakes maybe wouldn't love it, but Spanish people for sure, yes. It's going to be a blast if people get to know Nida Honk in Spain more. Yeah.
Cool, cool. So it took us pretty much half a day to do the tour, including all the travels. At the end, after the tour, we went back to Koriyama Station, and there was an izakaya, very old-looking izakaya that I was eyeing before going to the brewery. And so we just decided to go there, and it happened to be run by Nidahonke. And it's quite interesting because Nidahonke now they're making the buildings, like rebuilding all these buildings in a very modern, like clean, designy way. But this izakaya is super old school, very Showa, as we say.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was being in a movie, like being in a movie.
Right. So if
Yes.
you're in Koriyama area, it's highly recommended. You may need Google Translate or some kind of translation app if you're going there and
Yes.
you don't understand, but it's probably doable.
Yeah.
On the second day, I really wanted to go to Minami Aizu, which is an hour south of Aizu Wakamatsu, because I have a friend whose family runs a soba shop, and I know that there is Kokken and there's Aizu Shiso, which are both very good breweries, and they're both within walking distance from the station. So Aizu Wakamatsu is the capital of Aizu, which is the most inland part of Fukushima. And the train ride from there to Aizu Tajima, which is the station closest to these breweries, is very beautiful.
All the train trips in this trip have been amazing because you're riding through forests and mountains, and it's like being in a movie to me too because it's like an old samurai movie. It's all nature, everything is green, a lot of rivers. It's very narrow. Sometimes the train goes through the forest and
Right.
through the trees. So I think it's amazing to look at the window the whole trip. Yeah, not on
Yeah,
your phone.
a lot of, yeah, it's true. Very scenic, a lot of mountains and very rich rice field everywhere.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And on my trip to Niigata, from Niigata to
Fukuyama.
Fukushima, it was the same. It was like all forest, all mountains, yeah, a lot of tunnels. It was
Mm,
amazing. Yeah.
right. So another good reason to travel on trains rather than cars on the highway, maybe.
Exactly.
So generally, Aizu Shizo and Kokken Shizo, they don't take visitors. They don't take visitors around their brewery, but I made a special request this time because Elvira does sake promotion in Spain, and they said yes, but if you're going there as a visitor, you can still go into their shops and look at their building from outside. But so we first went to Aizu, which is the second oldest sake brewery in Fukushima, founded in 1688. Immediately, the building was just so historical and beautiful, right, Elvira?
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, and we get to see the old place where the old curabitos used to have dinner and hang, and it was so cool too. Yeah, it's super high ceilings, all wooden. Yeah, amazing building. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the Watanabe-san from the brewery, the head of the brewery now, said that these buildings are over 200 years old and all wooden, very spacious, surprisingly spacious inside, and
Yeah.
very beautiful. And the fermentation room is also very, very big, and you see so many beams because they have very heavy snowfall in wintertime.
Yes.
That they told us that they have like over 2 meters of snow in winter, goes
Yeah.
down to minus 20 degrees. They don't put heating system. So they make sake in this, what did he say? He said, imagine being in a freezer, it's colder, and we're making sake inside.
Yeah, yeah. I think they have to run to the Kojimuro sometimes to heat up a little bit because it's very, very cold, I assume. Yeah.
It's
And it
true.
changes the flavor of the sake on the way they make it. So it's very important. Also, the weather is kind of the terroir of the sake there. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Watanabe-san was telling us about how he approaches koji making because it's so dry, and also the fermentation because it's also very, very, very cold. And
Yeah.
so usually, naturally, fermentation would take longer, but he wants to keep it between like 21, 28 days. So they apply various heating equipment to warm up the mash a little bit
Yeah.
to keep it going, which was very interesting. So their
Mhm.
main brand is Aizu, which is catered towards more local consumption. But 8 years ago, they started another brand called Yamanoi. And he was telling us that through Yamanoi, they want to express the nature and the natural environment of the season of Minami Aizu. So in August, they're releasing one called The Milky Way, and the one they have now is called Iris. So you can feel the nature, the beauty of nature of Minami Aizu through their sake, and they also designed the label accordingly as well, which is quite
Yeah.
cool.
It was very impressive that he designed the labels that are so beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And he gave us some tasting samples.
I love the idea that he did a lot of research and trial and error things when he got the he was the toji at first,
Mhm.
and I like the idea that he uses the same rice, the same koji, the same yeast, and everything, but only changing the process. And all the sakes we tasted were so different. And it was so impressive that with the same ingredients, the toji can make these little changes and change the flavor. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. He mentioned that their water is very, very soft
Yeah.
and they brew in a very cold environment. So I was expecting much lighter flavors.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so flavorful. Yeah, I
Mhm.
think so. Yeah, and I love the old kind of sake they are still making for the locals
Mhm.
because I felt it was very authentic and very flavorful. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
love it.
Great,
Yeah, yeah.
great, great. And then we went to Kokken, which is about 20-minute walk from Aizu. So they're about only 500 meters apart. Kokken is, I would say, maybe bigger brand like nationally because I see more Kokken than Aizu sake.
Mhm.
And their sake tastes much, much fuller compared to me, like Aizu.
Yeah, it was very interesting because it has a very different approach than
Mhm.
Aizu. because they let the fermentation last for 30 days, the whole process, and he didn't make any shorten things to shorten the fermentation, so it was like a more natural, more in touch with the weather and the area. So I think it was more like a trying to express the local weather and let Koji and yeast make their job naturally. So I think it was a very interesting and different approach, maybe more natural, less intervention.
Mhm.
And the
Yeah.
sakes. Yeah.
And Hosoi-san, the head of brewery, was telling us also that he's not really into the trendy sake flavors that are super fresh, fruity, that lasts for a very short time. He's more into a bit more structured, classic, that lasts for a while, like for months, and we can enjoy it with meal. I really taste that in Koken. I love Koken sake. So I really wanted to go to Minami Aizu partly because I wanted to visit Koken.
Oh, great.
Yes. Koken is about 5 minute walk from the station. Aizu Shizo is about 25. But even in mid-July, Minami Aizu is quite cool compared to other areas of Fukushima, and definitely
Yeah.
cooler than Tokyo. So the walk was quite pleasant.
Yeah. We walk a lot this trip. We made
Yeah.
so many steps.
Yes. Both breweries are using mostly local rice, which is quite nice to hear because I like local, like everything local.
Yeah, me too.
And we didn't know, but Minami Aizu, the 4 breweries in Minami Aizu is now registered as GI Minami Aizu since August 2024. And it's the smallest GI. It's only a town. First GI in Fukushima. So now they're trying to promote the area through this GI system. And at the train station, they have a special vending machine, the very first sake tasting vending machine in Fukushima. The other 2 breweries are a little bit further, so we didn't visit this time, but you can still have some tasting samples in this vending machine.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to promote the sake from the area. Yes, because you can try everything in one go. Yeah,
It's true.
and have this feeling, this idea of the region. Yeah.
So it's 200 yen per sample, and they have 1 sample from each 4 breweries, plus 1 monthly special, so 5 in total. Needless to say, we did some samples,
Of course.
great. So one thing to keep in mind is that there is only 1 or 2 trains per hour between Aizu Wakamatsu and Minami Aizu Tajima. So if you want to keep the time in the back of your head, so you don't have to wait for an hour for the next train. And then when we went back to Aizu Wakamatsu, we did a quick visit to Tsurunoe. It was only to the shop because it was open until 6 p.m. So we basically just like got the last 5 minutes of the shop, and generously they gave us tasting samples of some of their sake, and we really liked them, right?
Yes, they were really good. Yeah. We did a couple of namas, I think. They were so fresh. Yeah, so good. Yeah.
Right. And then for dinner, before dinner, we went to a standing sake bar. So there is a tiny corner sake standing bar, which would probably fit like 10 people max, maybe.
Yeah.
And they have like 20 to 30 different sakes, all from Aizu area, all Jumai or higher, and run by 2 sisters in their late 60s, maybe early 70s. Do you want to talk about them a little bit, Elvira?
They were so nice, these
Uh,
ladies. Yeah, yeah. They told us they used to work in Tokyo one of them as a chef.
mm,
So they came back to their town because their parents were old and weak, so kind of way. So they came back to the area where they were born, and they started this restaurant with a standing bar. And it was so interesting because we were just there for a couple of sakes, and then this lady showed us like a live fish on a tank and say, which one do you want? Do you want some sashimi, fresh sashimi? And that was the freshest sashimi I've eaten in my life, like 15 minutes. Yeah, so amazing. And they were amazing. And they fried the rest of the fish for us. And I think it was an amazing experience. Yeah. And everything was so tasty and they were so chatty and nice. Yeah.
right. So it's called Konbe Ginza Kyuchome because they
Mhm.
used to have a little izakaya, or they say koryorya. So it's like a nice bar with good food in Ginza in Tokyo. So Ginza Kyuchome. And even if you don't get to go to breweries or like tasting samples at the breweries, you can taste all sorts of sakes from Aizu at this bar. So it's highly recommended. But again, if you don't speak Japanese, it could be slightly challenging, but maybe
Yeah.
with a translation app. Uh,
Yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah.
yeah.
Even with the translation app, there's some not new like apps that can read like written Japanese,
Mm,
like handwritten,
mm,
but it's very difficult because Google Translate even doesn't work
right,
because
that's
everything
true.
is handwritten. Yes.
I guess in that case, the ladies will ask you what kind of sake you're looking for, and you can translate like refreshing or like more rich,
Yeah.
and then show that to them, and they can recommend a few different ones, and then you
Yeah.
can take pictures of the label and see where they're from.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can pick and point too. You can
True.
say, I want that, and that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, for me it was very funny because they serve the sakes in a little cocktail glasses,
Right,
like
right,
dry
right, right.
martini glasses.
Yes. We should have asked why, but we didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, and day three, we decided to go to Kitakata because there are a lot of breweries in Kitakata as well. And we were lucky because we happened to go there on a festival day, and there was a big booth run by Kitakata Breweries, and they had so many tasting samples as well.
yeah,
But before that, we went around a few breweries. So Kitanohana, Yoshinokawa, Yumekokoro, and Minenoyuki. So these are all within walking distance from the station. Maybe like the furthest was maybe 25-minute walk.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't think they do a brewery tour, any of them, except for Kitanohana. There was a sign that said, we can show you the brewery, but you need to reserve in advance.
yeah.
Uh,
It's not that easy maybe for foreigners,
right, it's
but
probably run only in
yeah,
Japanese.
yeah.
But at Kitanohana, they gave us some tasting samples in the shop, and the old man was very, very nice.
Yes, he was.
Yes, and also very, very tasty sake.
Yeah, they were so good. Yeah.
Right. Hi guys, I'm popping in here after the recording just to tell you that the rest of the breweries were closed because it was Sunday. A lot of breweries are actually closed on weekends, so you should check the hours before the visits. And anyways, we just walked by and saw the rest of the breweries from outside. But Minenoyuki, which makes sake and mead, I believe has a shop. Also, we couldn't go on this trip, but Yamatogawa Shuzo has a space called Hoppo Fudokan, where they display old sake making tools and equipments. So if you're interested, you should check that out. Okay, back to the recording. So we tasted what, 6 tasting samples at the festival at the booth?
Yeah, yeah. Because we had to leave.
Right.
Otherwise, we have tasted all of them.
It's true. No, we had 6 each, so like altogether 12.
Yeah.
sakes.
Yeah.
Do you have any impression of Kitakata sake from that experience?
I thought that mostly all of them were on the drier side, but more they have like a sweetness on it, like a richness that
Mhm.
I thought it was very good to drink neats because one thing that happens to some sakes is that they are very good with food, but when
Mhm.
I make tastings in Spain, I conduct tastings in Spain. When you drink the sakes neats, they are not that good. They need food.
Mm.
They ask for
Yeah.
food. So I think maybe Kitakata sakes are the ones you can drink neat and enjoy it at the festival as we did.
Just
Yeah,
without,
because they're very flavorful, but
right,
very balanced. Yeah,
right. So good, probably with food, but also without food.
exactly. It's not
Mm.
that easy. I think most sakes ask for food
I
and
see, I
makes you
see.
hungry.
Which
Yes.
is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing for me, but yeah, in a tasting, some people don't understand
Right,
like a sake can mix with food and be better.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the festival, we also learned that Kitakata is also recently registered as GI.
Yeah. Mhm.
So there is GI Kitakata now as of March 2025. So yeah, there are two GIs in Fukushima now.
Yeah, very new.
Very new, yeah. And so for the whole trip, we based ourselves in Aizu Wakamatsu, which is the capital of Aizu area. And Kitakata is only 20-minute by train, local
Mhm.
train. But again, you want to check the timetable before you leave because I was gonna go back. I thought I could go back anytime and it's only 20 minutes, but the next train was like in an hour and we couldn't really wait. So we decided to take a bus back instead, which was fine, but
Yeah,
a little longer. So yeah, if you go to the countryside or like outside of big city areas, you really need to be conscious about timetables of public transportation.
yes.
And and then we went back to Aizu Wakamatsu. So we made one last quick visit to a brewery, which wasn't exactly a brewery. Suehiro, so Suehiro Shuzo has a regular museum tour almost every day, like about 5 times a day. It's all in Japanese. They give you a brief explanation of how sake is made, what process makes different sake, all the basics of sake making. And then they take you to this room that has a lot of old sake making equipment. And then at
Yeah.
the end, they take you to the aging room where they're aging a lot of bottles of their daiginjo and ginjo.
Yeah, that was interesting to see the old equipment. Yeah,
Mm.
I think it's worth a visit and it's free.
Yeah, it is free. And
Mhm.
at the end, they also let you taste a few different sakes,
Mhm.
which we had to do very quickly because we had to run for the bus.
Yes.
Um, so that was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 breweries. Some
Yep.
more in depth, some very brief, over 2.5 days in Fukushima. How was the trip in general?
I think it was worth it. It's a lot of information and tasting, but also like getting to know an area like a rural area with a lot of nature also and traditions and very old buildings that any foreigner can enjoy.
Mm,
So I think it was an amazing 2.5 days, very
mhm.
packed, but also very relaxed and fun. So I think
Right.
it's great. If you're in Tokyo and you have 2.5 days left, like I had, it's amazing to go to Fukushima. Yeah.
Mm. Do you think if you had this itinerary, you could do it on your own?
I don't know. I don't think so, especially the brewery tours because they are mostly in Japanese and they don't have
Mm.
anyone who speaks English, so it's very difficult to communicate. And
Right.
yeah, I think it's kind of difficult if you don't have a Japanese person with you or someone who speaks Japanese.
Okay. So the you could definitely visit these breweries, but the experience would be better if you go with someone who understands the language.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe you can go to Nida Honke because they have a Canadian Curabito. He can explain everything in English. And maybe some other breweries have English speaking persons. But I think it's very, as you get out Tokyo and the main cities in Japan, everything turns quite difficult, especially communication. People are very open, they are
Mm,
helpful, but it's difficult to communicate without the language.
right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I forgot to mention, but on the first day, if we had one full day in Nakadori in the middle area of Fukushima, we only could go to Nidahonke this time. But if you have a full day, people can probably also go to Daishichi, which is
Yeah.
also a big famous brewery. It's also accessible by public transportation from Koriyama. It's about 40 minutes. So yeah, for another trip,
Yeah.
maybe
Next time.
next time. Yeah. So when when we say Fukushima sake from Fukushima, I kind of have my own image of Fukushima sake, but from this trip, what was your impression?
Well, it's not all Fukushima sake because we've only been into an area because, as you said, there's three different areas and different weathers, different nature. So I think from Aizu, what's the main area we've
Mm,
been there, I think that they have had a lot. They had a lot of like young tojis in a way
mm-hmm,
has been very interesting for the prefecture because they kind of research and challenge the old ways of making sake in Fukushima, and they are getting with a lot of new and exciting ways of work, and they are like trying a lot of different things, and some of them and are getting to different like conclusions, and they are making like as the one we said the same ingredients for a lot of different sakes. Another person tries to do it more natural, more classic. Someone's tried to appeal the younger generations with more light sake. So there are a lot of different kind of sakes over there in Fukushima. It's
mm,
difficult to say what it ties up together, all of them. I think it's because they are quite modern, but with old techniques, and they are on the drier side, I said, like Niigata. I was in Niigata before, so
mm-hmm,
I could tell the difference because they're on the drier side, but they are like more juicy and more like balanced and a little bit more sweet. And I think they are super nice and yeah, but they are very different among them. I think
mm.
they are yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so yeah, my image is on the lighter side, quite juicy, slightly on the sweeter side, but very light. Very delicious. I really like Fukushima sake. And this time we got to talk to two brewers from three different breweries, and we asked what was Fukushima sake. And all of them said diversity. As Elvira mentioned, there are three different areas with different climates, different food culture, different type of like personalities, and a lot of breweries, like over 50. And another thing that was constantly mentioned was that the brewers are very open to each other. They have a lot of interactions. They share a lot of knowledge and skills, partly because Fukushima has Seishu Academy. So not only the heads of the brewery, but the brewers themselves also participate in this 3-year program where a lot of brewers from like different breweries from within Fukushima come and participate. So Hosoi-san from Kokken said that it's not just the presidents of the breweries, but the actual brewers and staff also know each other, and they can if they ask questions, they don't hide anything. Partly because they also know that it's hard to repeat, what they do in different breweries, so they're not scared of sharing information, which is very cool. And Watanabe-san from Aizu Shuzo mentioned that Fukushima sake used to be very diverse, and then there was a period of time where all the breweries in Fukushima tried to make really good quality sake, and then a lot of the sake flavor and quality became quite similar. But now they're entering a new age of going back to the old ways, going more unique. making sake that they can only make in the brewery. So it's starting to get more diverse once again. So that was quite interesting to hear. If anyone who's visiting the Tokyo area and have a couple free days who are interested in visiting some sake breweries and history, Fukushima is a great place to visit.
And local food. Yeah.
Yes, a lot of delicious sakes and food.
It's a great trip. Yeah.
And that's it for this episode of Sake on Air. Please take a moment to review and rate us on Apple Podcast or wherever you're enjoying the show. Feel free to send your questions and comments to questions@sakeonair or @sakeonair on Instagram and Facebook. And we'll be back with more Sake on Air in just 2 weeks. Until then, kampai.
Sake on Air is made possible with the generous support of the Japan Sake and Shochu Makers Association and is broadcast from the Japan Sake and Shochu Information Center in downtown Tokyo. It is produced by Export Japan, and our team is Shuso Imada, Justin Potts, Arlene Lyons, Cindy Bissig, Chris Hughes, Chris Pellegrini, John Gottner, Marie Nagata, Miho Ota, Rebecca Wilson-Lai, Sebastian Lewan, and me, Frank Walter. Until next time, kampai!